A to deselect, 7 for top view, because we're going to hide the front of the car again. So I'm just going to press Z, B to box select, select this area, and press H to hide it again. Now we can do Control 1 for back view. And the next thing we want to do is start going further down the mesh and starting to create this area right here, like this white part of the car, and then this flatter section right here. We want to create this as well. So I'm going to do Control 1, and we already started like that outside part of the curve and the top of it, but I want to make another vertex, so I'm going to select this one and E to extrude, and we're going to make a nicer corner here to try to make this look better once we're finished. We also have to remember, like, this goes down like this in the reference, but in the real thing it's going to go in the opposite direction. So like for example, this, if we do E to extrude, this has to go down this way, like this. And I actually want one more point in the middle here, so I'm going to do Control R, left click, and just pull this one out a little, give it some more curvature so that we have just a nicer curve there. We can start connecting this over to here, I guess. I want to add in another loop cut here, I think, so I'm going to do Control R, add in a loop cut, left click, right click, and we can just start filling in these faces here by selecting 4 vertices and then pressing F. I'm just going to check my reference car real quick. Yeah, I think this is how that's supposed to go, is like that. I'm just going to check again from side view. So yeah, we need to move some of these in this direction and reposition them a bit better. Still kind of following the reference, even though it's not really the exact same car as what we're making because the reference is off. But now what we want to do is move these vertices in so they better match. So we're gonna, from side view by pressing 3, take the bottom 2, go back to back view with Control 1 and bring these in. Then we're just gonna repeat the process, moving 2 at a time. Go to side view, go to back view, bring them into where they're supposed to be. That should be good. So that's looking pretty decent. Now what we want is to make this this flatter part right here. So we need to bring this in. And to do that, usually what I like to do is I'm just gonna, with this vertex selected, just press E to extrude, right click to cancel, bring it all the way to the center by grabbing the red arrow and bringing it to the center until it merges. Then we're just going to hold Alt and right click to get this, and then hold Shift and click on our newly created vertex, press F. Now we're going to do Control 1 for back view and Z for wireframe. We're going to press I to inset, and then B to turn on this border thing, because over here, like you'll see, and down here you'll see how it's sort it's moving inward, but we don't want that, so when we press B, that'll go away. And then we're just going to bring it in about this much, maybe. That's about the distance that we have over here. Maybe it's a little less. So I'll do Control Z and then I and then B again to make it more like how I think it should be, something along those lines right there. And you'll notice there's a pretty good amount of space right here, and then as we continue through this curve it gets less and less until like it shrinks until about here, and then it has a fairly consistent width throughout the rest of it. But this part's the biggest part, and then it makes it smaller right here. So we want to make sure that this part's the biggest part, and then these vertices here need to be moved up some to make them smaller, and then these moved up a little more so that it's more like this. I think that should be fine. And now we can just get rid of this vertex, so just select it by right clicking, press delete, vertices, now that's gone. So we have something like this. One thing I forgot to do, but we can fix it pretty quick, is just usually because this part of the car actually I'll explain first, if I can get a good picture of it. This one, like, you can tell that because of the shading, how it's darker underneath right here. You can tell that this bottom part's pulled in a bit, so that's why it's like darker shading on the bottom, like the light's not hitting it as much because it's pulled in a little bit more underneath the car. So it's kind of like how we have it right now, how it's pulled in a little. But usually when you pull it in like that, you see how the shading's not really the greatest everywhere. It's usually better if you have two loops that are near each other for this outer one. So what we're going to do is we're going to do Control R, left click, and bring it all the way next to this other loop until it's actually touching the other loop, and then left click. Then we're going to press Z and deselect these three, I guess. And we'll actually deselect this one too. So just C for, whoops. Just do C for circle select and middle mouse to deselect these. And then drag this down a little, slightly. Like, this much may be good. Then we're going to hold Alt and right click so that we know which vertices are connected to these. And we're going to do C again, middle mouse to deselect. And now we're going to drag these over slightly. And we're going to take this one vertex and just adjust it with G, trying to keep a similar distance. And now you see like the shading looks much nicer. So that's usually a good way to sort of correct the shading. But these I want to sort of go to back view with Control 1 and move these in a little to sort of make this curve a little nicer, and I may adjust those as well so it doesn't look so pixelated or jagged. That looks fairly nice. So another thing we may want to do is just make sure like these vertices here and even these up here probably need to be moved out some so that they're not at such a strange angle. And part of the problem is that these are kind of forward a bit much, it looks like. At least on my model. Your model might be different than mine. So the other thing we want to do is, like, we still have this straight edge here, straight line from this point to this point. And we really want to start adding curvature, so I'm just going to press Z, select one of these vertices, and then circle select the rest, and we'll just start curving this more. And we can do Alt right click, and we want to do circle select because there's an extra vertex here that's part of this part that we separated. So just make sure you do circle select and get everything, because there's a couple vertices that are on top of each other that we also want to move. And then do the same down here, select a point and do circle select, and then pull them out until you get a curved shape, something like this. And you can go to top view with 7 and try to match the reference a little better if you want, like this. Using the same methods that we've used, just select the vertex, C for circle select, and just adjust things as you need to get your mesh to line up a bit better with the car than it did before. So now we have some nice curvature back here. It looks pretty smooth. So I'll just save this real quick, go to File, Save. And next thing we're going to do is, from this image, we can see, so this is that part we just made, the bottom of that flat part. Then you can see it comes in a little, so we want to make it go in a little. So if we do Control 1 for back view, go back into edit mode with tab, hold Alt, right click this. We're actually going to need that vertex again because I want to do another inset. So select this vertex, E to extrude, right click to cancel, bring it in. And we're going to do the same thing. Just Alt right click, hold Shift, select this vertex, F to make a face, Z for wireframe, I then B, very small inset. Like that's definitely enough. Now we can delete this vertex. Hold Alt, right click, E to extrude, right click to cancel, and then bring this back a little bit, similar to how far this one is. Something like that looks good. So now we have this. Looking good. And I found it was actually easier if we just make this like outer part separate from the rest, or at least separate from the white part of the car. Like you can see it kind of has another inset right here, similar to how we made this part right here, but it's the black plastic or whatever it is instead of the car itself. And then we have this interesting part right here that's a little different. So we're going to start with this part. This is the hardest part. We're going to try to make this. And again, we have to remember that this goes from right to left, like in this direction. That's the way the angle goes. And in the reference, if we do Control 1 and Z and Tab to make sure we're in edit mode, like this has it going this way, but the real car has it going this way, so you just have to remember to do it opposite of this. So what we want to do actually is select one of these and then C for circle select, get the rest. Do Q for edge slide, and again, if you don't have edge slide as a hotkey, go to mesh edges and set it to Q by right clicking, just like we did before. And then we want to do Control R, add in a loop cut here, left click, and then slide it over and then left click again. So now we have this and this, right where this part is and this part is. Now we want, I believe we want to have, so we're going to select this vertex, C for circle, select and get these. I think this is what we want. And we're going to do Shift D to duplicate, right click to cancel, and then C for circle, select and deselect all of them except the bottom two. Then E to extrude, bring this down, and we want to bring it down into the left instead of down into the right, because remember it's the opposite direction. And now that we've done that, we actually don't need these vertices. They were only there to guide us so that we could make this part of the car. So we're going to do Alt and right click, then press delete, dissolve edges. That's gone. So now the only edges that are there are the ones that are part of this. Like if we do select and linked, this part's actually physically separate from the rest of the car, which is what we want. So looking at this from different angles, this one may be the best. Like you see how it's all light on the top. Like in shading is important, like on the real car as well as on your car. It gives you a hint as to which direction things are moving in. And you see how this part is really light. And it's because, in this case, it's because this part of the car, this black part where it's all light up here, is moved out again. So like we had this part moves in, and then this black piece actually moves out. So now we want to make it move out like that. So we're going to hold Alt and right click, and Z for wireframe, Control 1 for back view. We're just going to circle select and deselect everything except these two and pull them out, because it's supposed to go out again. Then we're going to do select linked and Z for wireframe, Control 1, back view, C for circle select and middle mouse to deselect. And this time we want to leave just the center ones. Then we're going to do delete and dissolve edges, and that will bring these out a little, and we can actually bring them out a little more till it's more like this. And this on this back, we're just going to delete this face. So select it, press delete, choose faces. Whoops. So now what we want to do is give it more of, like you can see there's this bevel that goes along this edge that gives it this nice definition here. And to do that, we're just going to do Control R, add in a loop cut right here. And I know we just deleted one that was here, but that was to straighten things out a bit. And now we can have this bevel again and move it slightly until we get the result that we want. Something like that should be fine. You can adjust how far out it goes to your liking. And then we want to fill in this area, so we're going to select all these and then press F to make a face. And I just went to object mode and did smooth shading to correct the shading. So we have this nicer looking result. and it needs to obviously continue on until the center of the car. So now we have this face selected. We're going to press E to extrude, right click to cancel, and just bring this to the center. And we're just going to do delete faces because we don't need that face in the center. I know we just made it, but we actually didn't need it, so I'm just making sure we don't have any faces on the back side. So we're going to do Alt right click to get this loop right here, like this. You should have this when you press Z. And we're going to bring it forward some until it's past the car like that. Then we're going to press G and hold Control and snap to... Doesn't look like it's going to let me, so I'm going to have to bring this in, and we really don't need this vertex on the inside, I don't think, so I'm going to select it, delete vertices. At least we don't need it for now, so we're just going to do Alt right click, get these, grab it on the Y, hold Control. Actually no, we just want to do G, hold Control and snap to that point there. And it looks like we need to do Control R, add in a loop cut, and bring it over to line up basically with this line here. Then we're going to do G, Control, and snap it to that point so that we have something like this. Looks pretty nice, pretty decent at least. And now we can take a look at this and do Alt and right click to get this point, Control 1 for back view, Z and deselect. I think we need to deselect, yeah, we do need to deselect both of those. Then E to extrude, right click to cancel, and pull this back some. And the reason we did that is so we can make a quad here. We can fill in these faces, so if we hold Alt and right click this, then we can press F, and now we have the inner part of this thing finished. Because like right here is where it kind of starts to tilt in towards the car, and this would be where the license plate would go. So that's basically what we're doing, is making it tilt in underneath the car. So if we do Alt and right click on this edge and get these, we just want to deselect these, S, Y, and then 0 to flatten it out on the Z-axis and bring it back again so that it's more like this, and bring it down a little just to hide that, because you see, like, you can see the other vertices, so just bring it down a little. That'll hide those. Now we have this. And then on this we have like this other part right here. We can see where it kinda, can't see in these, but it actually does stick out a little more than the part that's below it. Like this part that would be right here sticks out a little bit more than the part that's below it. So we want to do Control R, add in the loop cut here, and just slide it down, then left click, and get these outer ones and just pull them out so that it's more like that. And then you can do Control R again and add another one next to it to make it have that little line like that if you want. I don't remember if I did that in the original one. No, I didn't. So we'll just remove that with Control Z. and you got something like this. This outer part could use a face, so we're going to do Alt right click here and then press F. Now we get a face there, starting to look pretty decent. We're at a good point to save. We'll just go ahead and save this. Let's do File and Save.